Black Scully on check. Got a little white tee on check. Welcome to another marvelous episode. It is Monday. I'm so happy to be back talking college football. You guys have no idea. On today's docket, we're going to look at 6 different topics, as we always do for our Into the News segment. I don't know why that always pops up. The 6 headlines we're going to talk about is Greg McElroy. And he's talked about UCLA a little bit. He said they got a little bit of work to do, even with Nico Iamaleava. Tennessee wide receiver Chris Basil was arrested, ahead of the, upcoming 2025 season. We're going to talk about that as well. Gruden talks about, he could kill it, and kind of like he would die to coach in the SEC. And we're going to talk about that gently because we're also covering that tonight on Overreaction Monday. Super excited for that episode. I'm also on today's topic. We're going to talk about Gus Malzahn. And he's kind of breaking down Tommy Castellanos and where he's at, kind of understanding the Florida State offense. Also, Dion speaks on Caden Salter, Coach Prime that is, speaks on Coach Salter and believes that he will cause a lot of havoc for teams this upcoming season. And then also Sam Pittman raves about Taylor Green. We know that this is really a make it or break it year. Sorry, I do have a different mic. I should probably explain that since, you guys are always, here. But this is my main mic. This mic is a really good mic. I think it's like either $400 or $500. And it was around that when I got it. But this is an elite podcast mic, and in order to run this, you do need a mixer. This is my backup mic. This is, I hate that I'm using it right now, but that's neither here nor there. But my mixer, if you saw Friday's episode, my show ended like 3 minutes early, and really probably like 4 or 5 because I wasn't finished my thoughts, but I didn't have this backup mic with me or in a range where I thought I was able to get it. I knocked my mixer over. My mixer's under warranty. I just need to go get it changed out. So we might be dealing with this mic for the next couple days. So bear with me. It still sounds decent. Don't get me wrong. But when you got this, and anybody who's into the podcast game, they know what this mic is and what this mic represents. Alrighty, and so for our Governor Reacts segment, we'll be talking about where I am headed the first 3 weeks of the season. I talked with our communication strategist as we were kind of working out where I should head the first 3 weeks of the season. The first 3 weeks, I do mean week 0, week 1, and week 2. Week 0 matters. I don't know why people just always skim over, but week 0 matters. And we got possible trips, from Hawaii and maybe, to Idaho as well. So we'll get into that. And the governor ruling, should Jimbo Fisher return to coaching? I'm going to examine that. I do believe he should return to coaching. Anybody that wants to coach at the collegiate level is truly the land of second chances. But I think I have some suitable fits for him as well. And then around the nation, we'll take a glimpse at Joel Klatt's preseason top 25. And that'll really just buy us time because we're going to react to the AP poll live when it releases at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have what's called, anybody who utilizes OBS to make content creation, I highly suggest that you use it, especially if you're on a singular show. StreamYard is where it's at when you got multiple guests, but OBS is so much you can do with OBS. Like, even with this mic that I continue to pick up and show you guys, I still have EQs, compressors, and limiters on my vocals, and that's why I prefer to use, OBS. But anyway, I have what's called a window capture, and right now I have it capturing the AP poll. So the moment it released at 12, we're going to react to it instantly. We're going to do the top, say who the top 25 is. I give a couple quick thoughts on how I feel because we're also covering that overreaction tonight. So we got truly a loaded episode today. I'm super excited about it. Governor of College Football, hashtag go CFB. CFB Nation, your only college football destination. Let's get it. Governor of College Football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two
CJ
great
on
defensive
that
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the Alrighty, it is Monday. What's today's date? August 11th. Shout out to my brother Weez. I shouted him out on Friday episode. His birthday was yesterday. Shout out to him. I also want to shout out my boy Nino, dealing with some, some things. He's good, family's good, but that's my dog. Shout out to him. Can't wait for, him to get back and doing this thing. But just shout out to my dog. But let's get into the news. Greg McElroy, here we're huge fans of Greg McElroy. Definitely still appreciate him and Amanda Brooks for, the ability to make that happen. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to be real unprofessional real quick. But the ICO on this camera is killing me. We need to brighten it a little bit. And we're back. That should have done the job. My apologies. Had to brighten it up. Might have brightened it up a little bit too much, but now you guys can actually see me. My apologies. So unprofessional on me, but it is what it is, and we go make it happen. So let's get back to what I was talking about. We're huge fans of Greg McElroy here. So he was talking about like UCLA and them getting Nico Iamaleava, but he also believes that in his estimation that the Bruins got work to do. With their schedule, he was saying, yes, they finished 4-2 down the stretch last year, but this roster is basically brand new, especially on defense. And then Tino Sinceri is somebody we've talked about a great deal on this show. I'm a huge fan of Tino Sinceri. Let me do one more quick adjustment. Gotta love it. We're huge fans of Tino Sinceri. So I don't believe they have as much work to do as Greg McElroy believes that they have, work to do. I do think in the grand scheme of things that this roster is a work in progress, but, I don't place blame on that on Deshaun Foster. Chip Kelly just simply didn't do his job the last year while he was there. He was sick of all of the things that you have to do at the collegiate level as it pertains to coaching. He was 100% sick of it. He was so sick of it. He wanted out of college football. We know this. He wanted to go to the NFL level at that point in time, couldn't get an NFL job. And then, pretty much after Bill O'Brien took the BC job, of course, Ohio State had an opening. Chip Kelly was able to did his thing at OC. He didn't really have to focus on anything else but calling plays. And then the moment that he could go to, the NFL, he ran. So he did not do his job. If you look at where UCLA was from a recruiting perspective during Chip Kelly's tenure, you'll see the first couple of years were really good, but you'll see the drop-off at this last year. And it was disrespectful. It was extremely disrespectful. So, yes, the roster construction isn't outstanding. I am saying let's give him time because he went and got a stud of an offensive coordinator in Tino Sinceri. He's got a guy that can make it happen because I'm telling you, we talk about people who will be on redemption tours this year. If you think that Nico Iamaleava is not going to be on a redemption tour this year, I think he will. So Tennessee, wide receiver, it just seems like the news is getting worse for Tennessee. Chris Brazel arrested. Last week they were dealing with Blurgate. A shout out to, J.D. Pickell from On 3 because he solved the case. He was on it. He's like, why are they blurring out the quarterback? And we come to find out it was a tight end at quarterback. But the false top returner receiver was arrested for driving with a suspended license for speeding, 60 and a 35. Newsflash, if you're driving and you shouldn't be driving, you should probably follow the rules, right? You would think that go hand in hand. Back in the day, there was a time period, my license was suspended. This was a long time ago. Was I still driving? Yes. Was I following the directions? Yes. To a T. If they said the speed limit's 35, I'm going 34. Going 60 and a 35 and then giving somebody your passport, buddy, it's crazy. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it right there. Like I said, this kid's got hella potential. He really does. But this is just crazy. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense at all. Let's talk about John Gruden, who believed he would kill it in college football. He said he'd die to coach in the SEC. I'm not going to speak on this much because we're talking about this tonight on Overreaction Monday. Boomer will be joining us tonight, so it'll be me, him, and D now. Hasn't been a show. This might be the first time ever that's been that exact pairing because I know before it's been like Nino, Boomer, And now with my travel schedule, or when I was, working before doing this full time, right? It'd be times where I just couldn't. And then, of course, Boomer would fill in. But I'm excited to hear what these guys got to say about this. So I'm not going to speak on it too much, but I will say this. I said this earlier during the cold open. I do believe college football is the land of second chances. And we see Bill Belichick, not saying that he needed a second chance. He's, arguably the greatest coach at the NFL level, right? There's certainly an argument there, whether you agree with it or not. It's certainly an argument. For him to come at the collegiate level, I would love to see John Gruden coaching at college football. Now, who or where would he coach? That would be interesting. I would like to see it. My boy Boomer, I'm not going to steal his thunder, had a great idea. I'm not going to say anything. We'll speak about this later. So catch us tonight at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time over at CFB Nation for Overreaction Monday. This is going to be an episode you all do not want to miss because the topics we're covering are going to be fantastic. Gus Malzahn, Tommy Castellanos, he's the quarterback of Florida State. And we kind of have mixed feelings about Castellanos. I trust nobody's opinion more on Castellanos than my boy Nino. My boy Nino Brown. Make sure y'all follow him, man. He does so much for our brand. The YouTube community posts. I think CFB Nation has the best YouTube community posts. I'm telling you, it'd be so lit. It could be, any topic. People in the comment section and they arguing. It's lit. I don't think there's another college football centric or centered platform that has a more lit community post in CFB Nation. He also runs out Twitter as well. So there's nobody whose intel I trust more on Thomas Castellano than his, because he's a season credential member at Boston College. So he's seen a great deal of Tommy Castellanos and was a huge fan of his when he arrived there. But, some of the things that I've heard, and some of them I won't repeat because, when you have sources and you have, intel, you shouldn't repeat some of the things exactly that were said. But I'm interested to see how he works out in Tallahassee. This kid has an immense amount of talent. He is dynamic with the ball in his hands. If it's one thing that I hope he takes from Bill O'Brien, and he may not be the, biggest Bill O'Brien fan, Bill O'Brien, his last year there, got him to not turn the ball over as much as he did when Jeff Hafley was there. So he's got to celebrate that. At the end of the day, Bill O'Brien is the head coach, and when it comes to being like a stand-up guy, it may not get more stand-up at the collegiate level than Bill O'Brien. It just may not get more stand-up than that. And if he says, hey, you had an opportunity, Grayson's our guy for now. You have an opportunity to come back and earn your spot. He didn't want to do that, so he left, and that's his prerogative. He does have the right to do that. And then based on, I didn't know if he was going to automatically be the guy when he stepped foot in Tallahassee, but it's a system that he knows. These two reunite. Trying to overhaul an attack that finished dead last and scoring a year ago. Castellanos believe they can hit 40 points per game, but week one in Tallahassee. Newsflash, that may be one of our options. We have two options or two pathways, as Moon like to say, for week one. That may be one of those pathways, because I'm dedicating the rest of this year to college football. It's 100% being dedicated to the sport of college football. I promise you it is. Moving on. Coach Prime says that Caden Salter will cause havoc. I don't want to read any tea leaves, but coming into this, I want to say CFB Nation was on top of this. Because why? Because just like I was talking about Nino, and he saw a great deal of Tommy Castellanos because he's a seasoned credential member at Boston College. Well, guess who's a seasoned credential member at Liberty? You look at him. So I saw a great deal of Caden Salter. So when I heard that he was going to Boulder, even with Juju Lewis signing to go there, I said Caden Salter is starting. And even though it has not been announced, it hasn't. But when you just look at the athletic ability, I'm not saying that Shedeur doesn't have the ability to be athletic, but there are levels of athleticism, and Caden Salter clears Shedeur Sanders' athleticism by a mile. It is not even close. This kid is electric. It hurt my soul watching Caden Salter in Lynchburg last year. You want to know why it hurt my soul? Because I felt like he did not want to be there. Body language is everything. It's one thing watching the game, and this is something that me and Ross Dellinger talked about. And I was asking him, what's your favorite way to watch a game? Some people prefer to watch it on television, or if you're able to go to games, you credential to go to games. Some people like to watch it from the press box. And we both agreed it's the sidelines, because there's just things that you see. that, sometimes I don't always post them. I'll just share them with my brothers in our CFB Nation group chat. Zachariah Branch was an example. I went to that Maryland USC game. I saw how disinterested he was. Knew he was gone. I knew Caden Salter would be leaving. But honestly, if we can look at this thing, I think if Hugh Freeze, because it looked like he was going to Auburn, before he decided to go back to Lynchburg, right? I'm talking about not this year. I'm talking about last year. After he lit it up in 2023, it was talks or discussions that he may end up going to Auburn. And I thought he'd have been a great fit. And I thought he'd have been a better pick than Peyton Thorne at quarterback, because what he'd have been able to bring to the offense, because it's those uncanny things. It's those things that you cannot teach that he's able to do. And I don't know. I agree with Coach Prime. I think he will cause a lot of havoc. I clearly think he's the starting quarterback. It has not been announced yet, but we just reading tea leaves here. But they can definitely cause some troubles for some Big 12 teams. And Coach Pittman praises Taylor Green in Arkansas scrimmage, as he should. Taylor Green should have complete leadership of the offense. He should have complete command of the offense, through just under, 3K yards at 500 yards rushing. Just keep in mind at the collegiate level, sacks do count against your rushing yards. I've always hate that stat, but it is what it is. This is our Into the News segment. We're going to move right along and head to our Governor React segment. Where will the governor be heading? Week 0, week 1, week 2. Let's talk about it. All righty. This is Governor Reacts, and we're going to talk about where I'll be headed for week 0, week 1, week 2. I know D now is credentialed for like 4 or 5 places, so I'm interested to hear where he's going. I know week 1, an opportunity where he's going. I know with the airline I'm with, I have to kind of schedule around that. And it just so happened to be a pass that I was telling D now and Nino about last week. I was like, you got to thug it out. But, it is what it is. And, I know Mike has it and Moon have it and I have it as well. And I'm not saying the airline. They give us a sponsorship, and I say the airline. If not, you get no love over here, Playboy. So let's talk about week 0 real quick. So I am blessed. I'm in a blessed position. Everybody with CFB Nation is in truly a best position because we can go to so many schools. There is a conference that we've been struggling with for a little while, but they're starting to soften up their stance. And they really have no choice, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that to sound conceited or anything like that. But the fact of the matter is that we do the work, bro. We 100% do the work. I just told you guys how lit our community post is. That alone right there is A1. But it's the content that we bring. It's the expert level. The fact that we're not going to always agree on everything, which makes outstanding television. The fact that we are all super knowledgeable about the sport. And then the website. The website is creme de la creme. I don't think there's another better looking college football website. Now, that may be more informational website just because they have, more journalists, who are putting out stories. But I think if you go to thecfbnation.com and you see what we did, you want to know what a team did last year? You don't even have to look at their record. Once you go to thecfbnation.com, whatever your team is, week by week, you can see the articles that was done for your team because they were done for every FBS school. And then, if I'm not mistaken, Moon will also do like a weekly catch-up of what happened at the FCS ranks. I've seen him talk about HBCUs. I've seen him talk about Division II. Really tries to cover the sport, and he does a magnificent job doing it, on World of College Football. Him and Brian Brosarge, if you're a South Carolina fan, and you haven't seen that show, go watch it. Because Brian Brosarge is so knowledgeable. He really is. And then get to talk about the team he loves and Moon being able to MC and orchestrate that, man. And it is 2 hours of unadulterated fire. You want to know about South Carolina football? Go watch that because it was so informal. So let's talk about week 0. Week 0, we got options. We know Kansas is opening up a brand new stadium. They're playing Fresno State. I think this year, it's a little bit different from last year. And I say that because, last year, of course, we can go to games. We can go to games the year before that. It's more options this year. But last year, certain teams, you're just finger crossing, hey, hopefully we get this credential, for said thing. It's different this year because we're not always picking based upon, what the best game is. Sometimes we're picking based upon what team is going to give us the most access. When I say access, will we have an opportunity to interview the coach, right? Will we have the opportunity to go live before the game? Will we have opportunity to go live after a game? There are schools that's going to allow us to do this, and you guys will see it live. Like, that's kind of when we start to dictate and decide where we're going. A lot of that will be dependent upon, what school is giving us access. Sometimes we're going to go where the best game is. It is what it is. But as long as for one of those games we had the ability to go live before or after, in the last game we have to have the ability to go live because we want to do a catch-up. And I think we found a way from a logistical standpoint to figure it out where it makes the most sense, right? So, week 0, we got options. Like I said, Kansas debuting, new stadium in Lawrence. Can't wait to go there. Great relationship with them. Moon was elated, after he talked to them, because a lot of times he's talking to the SIDs on the phone and he's building a rapport. And, there's just a lot of things that he do that people don't see. And that's why I feel like as a brand, we work really well together. Like, Moon send these people postcards, if it's, something good happened for that person, he will send them an email. If it's a holiday, he'll reach out to them, have safe travels during your holiday season. He keeps in contact with these people the entire year. That's why we have such a great relationship with schools, because he's put the work in. And a lot of these schools started off as no, but you continue to build your relationship and be able to accept the criticism, because there were some schools that say, hey, you guys are doing a great job on the video side of things, but your website needs work. Moon took that, did what he had to do, and now our website is spectacular. It really is. So, the Kansas versus, I believe they're playing Fresno State is an option. Stanford versus Hawaii is also an option. And at first I'm like, yo, there's no way I'm going to Hawaii. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. It'll be dope as a vacation, but just to go there for a game until I found out that the airline that I'm rocking with, there are flights out there and it's no extra expense. I'm like, well, I will go. And it'll be beautiful to start our season off in Honolulu. Also, this is one of the programs that has given us access to be able to go live while we're there. Beautiful game. I believe it's a either midday game or a later game. I would love to be there. And then also the MEAC SWAC Challenge. We went there last year. I think if we don't go there this year, it's because they're limited access, when I feel like as a brand, we've done a magnificent job covering that challenge. This will be Moon's 3rd or 4th time being there. He even went live from Radio Row there. I think that was either a year and a half ago, something like that. Interviewed a bunch of coaches and players and really did an outstanding job. I don't think we'll end up being there. So this really comes down to two choices. It comes down to the FCS kickoff in Montgomery, Alabama between UC Davis and Mercer. I believe both of those schools were in the playoff last year at the FCS level. My apologies. And I think that would be a really good game to go to, a really good way to start our season. Atlanta is one of our hotbeds as far as, locations, because that's where Moon is. So it'd be nothing for us to catch a flight down there, and it's a drive. It's only like an hour and a half drive from Moon, or like an hour drive from Moon. So we can go to that game. But if I had to bet, I think week 0 we will be in Hawaii with the Louis Jones call. What they call luau's. I'm thinking of something else. Y'all gonna see us with them on chilling in Hawaii. That's where I bet we'll be at August 23rd, I believe, for week 0. That would be my bet. Alrighty, so week 1 is getting interesting, and you guys sit back. I don't know if you in your car, pull over safely, of course. I don't know if you watching this on the internet, you at work, you ain't supposed to be watching this, but I appreciate you because you are 1% and you watching this. Sit down, because when I'm about to tell you we about to do week 1, some of y'all not gonna believe. So do just wherever you at. I don't care if you at work, man. Go take a break or something real quick, because I'm about to tell you how we about to orchestrate week 1, and this is about to be unadulterated madness. So it starts Thursday night. Yeah, it ain't starting on Saturday. It's starting Thursday night. Week 1, Thursday night. We're doing Miami of Ohio at Wisconsin. We are 100% going to the game. Great relationship with the staff there in Madison. They've wanted us to come out for a few years now. They've already told us we have the ability to go live. They already told us we have the ability to interview some players and coaches. I'm excited about that. So starting our week 1, because some people don't count week 0. I count it. But for those who don't count it, Bear with me. Okay, it's cool. You don't. It's all right. It's all right. But we're starting off Thursday in Madison for Miami, Ohio at Wisconsin. It's going to be a great matchup because Miami, Ohio has been a top-tier team, in the MAC for a while now. I believe DeQuan Finn is their quarterback. They've always had a stout defense versus Wisconsin. And I want to see what the Billy Edwards experience is like. His first year there in Madison. Luke Fickell got a lot to coach for this year. They have a tough schedule. Like, there are certain teams who will schedule like G5 games, just schedule tough G5 games. This is a tough G5 game. I'm not saying that Wisconsin won't win. They will win, but it's interesting. So I like this matchup. Week 1, Thursday, book it. We will be in Madison. You can book that. Go ahead and add it. But that's not it, though. But wait, there's more. Friday night, we got 2 pathways. We got either we're going to Waco, right, and then finish our weekend up in Atlanta, or we're going to Miami. So there's 2 pathways we got. I'll explain both to you. Give me 1 second and bear with me. So the Florida pathway is a really interesting pathway because we like to support all levels of college football. Though I talk FBS ball, I do talk a lot of G5 ball, but mostly on my show I talk FBS ball. But if you a FCS fan, or you go to a HBCU or something and you want to hear more about your team, World of College Football is definitely what you want to watch. But FBS, I got you covered, and we got you covered on our other shows. So I'm just about to pull up a document that I have. I have a sheet of our scheduler because we want to just map out the first quarter, even though we only got to week, I think, 2. Actually, we got some introductory things for week 3. But I'm only going to go up to week 2. So our Miami pathway, if we do choose we're definitely going to Madison on Thursday. If we choose the Miami pathway, that means on Friday we'll be watching Bethune-Cookman versus FIU. Great relationship with FIU. We've had a great relationship with them. And of course we will be at the Florida Atlantic, the Shula Bowl and FIU game that, that's down the line. But Friday we might be going to Miami to go watch that. And then that would mean that on Saturday we'll be going to the Howard and FAMU game, the Florida A&M, but that game is in Miami. So that means, boom, Friday night G5 ball, even though Bethune-Cookman HBCU. Saturday we'll be at a HBCU game. So for those of y'all who never been, we will have the ability to go live, and you'll be able to see the steppers and everything else and everything that goes with that. And then Sunday we'll be going to Catholics versus Convicts. So that will look like Wisconsin versus Miami of Ohio Thursday. Boom. Fly out to Miami Friday, which there are flights, easy flights from Madison to Miami, to go see Bethune-Cookman versus FIU at 7 p.m. And the Saturday game will be at Howard and Florida A&M. That's a 4 p.m. game. Sunday, Catholics versus Convicts. But the pathway that I would prefer, even though that's a good pathway, I ain't got no issue with it. But the pathway that I prefer is Thursday is locked. Miami, Ohio, Wisconsin. Friday, Auburn versus Baylor. I want to go to Waco so bad. I want to go to Waco so bad. And y'all know why I want to go to Waco so bad, bro. The main reason I want to go to Waco is because I really believe that, because there's people who high on Auburn. A lot of people starting to become high on Baylor. If Baylor can start this season fast, bro, make my prediction look real good, how I'm feeling about Baylor, I'd be excited about that. So the second pathway will be Thursday, Miami, Ohio versus Wisconsin. Friday morning, we will fly down to Dallas, and then I think Waco is about an hour and 15-minute drive. We'll just catch an Uber there, then catch an Uber back to the airport. Saturday, peep this, Aflac will already credentialed for the Aflac games, both of them, the Aflac Kickoff Challenge. Saturday will be Syracuse versus Tennessee. We'll be in the building for that, right? And that's at 12. Peep game, that's in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is about an hour and 45 minutes away from Clemson, roughly. Maybe like an hour and a half. So we will leave that game maybe, hopefully right at the end of the fourth quarter. But if we have to leave a little early, we can leave about 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Head up to Death Valley to watch Clemson versus LSU. That'll be a crazy Saturday. To go from Auburn, Baylor, right? And then Syracuse and Tennessee for the Aflac Kickoff Challenge. And then Saturday night, we get Clemson, LSU. And then guess what happened Sunday? Y'all wouldn't even believe what happened Sunday. We catch the second game of the Aflac Kickoff Challenge, the Beamer Bowl. Right? And all of these will be live from the field. The only game I won't be on the field for is that Clemson and LSU because it's going to be so many media there. I'm not about to fight with these people. Go ahead and put me up in the press box. I'm cool. I'm there. That's all that matters. And then Sunday, like I said, we got Beamer Bowl. Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. So that's the pathway I want. Miami, Ohio versus Wisconsin on Thursday. Friday, Auburn versus Baylor, right? Saturday, Aflac Kickoff Challenge at 12. Syracuse versus Tennessee. Saturday evening, Clemson versus LSU, the Battle of Death Valley. Sunday, we got the Beamer Bowl. Monday, TCU, North Carolina. And we would probably just go there just to be a fan and watch it. Because, I don't know, North Carolina real particular on who they credential. They really move like a SEC school. That's why I can certainly see them in the SEC. And they kind of got the right to, with, the success that they have, on a basketball perspective. But we have a great relationship with TCU. So if we can get on that game for the field, fine. If not, I'll go get a ticket. Vivid, I got a bunch of points on Vivid seats. I actually got money just sitting there. I pay for a few tickets to go watch that game on Monday. So that will be our week 1 slate. That is crazy. I'm going to say it one more time for those of you all who missed it. We'll be in Madison Thursday. That's already locked. We're there. Friday, 2 different pathways. This is the pathway I want, though. In Waco for Auburn, Baylor, 8 p.m. Saturday, early game, Syracuse and Tennessee, who's in the Aflac Challenge at 12, 7:30 p.m. So we are going to have to leave early. We may have to leave at the end of the third quarter. We got to head up to Clemson for the Battle of Death Valley. And the game that I believe is the game, week 1. Texas and Ohio State getting a lot of top billing. But for me, for what I'm looking at, 2 explosive offenses, we don't even know who Ohio State quarterback going to be right now. The game I want to see is Clemson and LSU, and I will be there for that. Sunday, we got the second game of the Aflac Kickoff Challenge. We got the Beamer Bowl. That'll be a really good game. Lenore Sellers possibly starting his Heisman run. And then, come on, man. Monday, you see Sonny Dykes and Bill Belichick go at it. That's week 1. So week 2 is simple. Week 0 kind of got it figured out. We got our option 1 and our option 2. Stanford, Hawaii will be option 1. Option 2 will be the FCS kickoff in Montgomery, Alabama. I just told y'all week 1, not going over that again. Week 2, we going out west. And I wish my boy Brian was in here. My dog, the Boise State fan. We're going to Boise State, bro. Week 2, we going out west week 2. So I'll be excited for him. I'm going to try to get as much B-roll as possible, many photos as possible, and then I'm going to send it to him personally. So we got Friday night. We got Eastern Washington versus Boise State. That's 9 p.m. I believe that's Eastern time, but I'm not sure. I don't care. Saturday, guess where we going Saturday, y'all? We going to Provo, and we're going to Salt Lake City, and this works out perfectly. So Saturday, we got Cal Poly versus Utah, 6 p.m. What we're trying to do is pick up our credentials early on Saturday before we go to Cal Poly versus Utah game from the Stanford and BYU. Because I don't know if you guys know, Provo and Salt Lake City are only 40 miles apart, right? So it's nothing but an Uber ride there. So Saturday, hopefully we can get our credentials early from Stanford, BYU. Even if we can get them, now we wouldn't be able to get them on Friday because we're going to have to fly out. So, yeah, we're going to Utah. Cal Poly versus Utah. Won't be, Devin Dappier is going to put up some points, but I expect this game to be a blowout early. We'll end up leaving that game early and head to Provo for what I think might be a really sexy matchup in Stanford versus BYU. So those are week 0, week 1, week 2. Where we going? Let me know what y'all think, how y'all feel. I think this is outstanding. I love the way we mapped this out. The Miami pathway will still be dope, but I just prefer the other one. So week 0, more than likely, I'm betting on Stanford versus Hawaii in Hawaii. I'm going to enjoy that. Or the FCS kickoff, and I would enjoy that as much. I really would. Week 1, Thursday, Miami of Ohio versus Wisconsin. We'll be there. We'll be on the field. Friday, we'll in Waco for Auburn versus Baylor. If not there on Friday, then we'll go to Miami and we'll spend the weekend in Miami. Who wouldn't want to do that, right? And then Saturday, We'll have the first game of the Aflac kickoff, Syracuse versus Tennessee. This is in Atlanta, Georgia. Great relationship with them. We spoke with actually like the executive director of the Aflac kickoff. Him and Moon had such a great interview. And this is why it's important to get to these media events. He said, whatever you guys need, let me know. We was like, credentials? He said, I just said, whatever you guys need, let me know. Okay, we're there. Cool. Bet. So that's the day game for Saturday. Night game for Saturday. We're taking an hour and a half drive up from Atlanta to Clemson for the Clemson LSU game, the Battle of Death Valley. This game's got top billing for the week. I can't believe I'm going to see two Heisman hopefuls duel it out. And Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier. That will be impressive. Truly impressive. Catholics versus, I'm sorry, that's the Miami Pathway. I'm so sorry. And then that Sunday game would be the Beamer Bowl. Week 2, Eastern Washington versus Boise State. These are subject to change. I don't think they're changing, though. This week 2 is locked. Cal Poly versus Utah in Salt Lake City. Then we'll take that drive to Provo, 40 minutes away for Stanford versus BYU. We'll probably more than likely, that Utah-Cal Poly game should be a blowout at halftime. We should be leaving that game by halftime. Shaking some hands, thanking some folks. So those are the first 3 weeks of the season. We are now 16 minutes away. I can't wait for the AP poll release. We're going to get right into our next segment, Governor ruling. Jimbo Fisher, should he be coaching back at college? I believe he just signed on with ACC Network. But let's go ahead and get on to this next segment, Governor ruling. We're back, and we got some people in here today. Shout out to everybody who's watching this show. I truly consider all of you all the 1%ers, everybody who watches this show, everybody who loves college football 24/7. We have the greatest season, or the greatest sport of all, right? But it's the shortest season. And the off season is long. The off season is grueling, but that's not a word we celebrate here at CFB Nation. So shout out to everybody watching. Yo, tell a friend to tell a friend. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. You can go to YouTube, search at Governor of College Football, subscribe there. Also, if you like to listen to this in podcast form, this is on a myriad of podcast platforms. It's just Governor of College Football. The preferred platform is Spotify. Why? Because they got the video episodes are on Spotify, so you guys can watch them there. It is what it is. But let's get into this governor ruling. Like I said, we're about 15 minutes from the release of the AP poll. Can't wait to react to that live. I already got it set up. I'm going to go ahead and give you a sneak now because I don't want to do it. I ain't even going to give you a sneak peek, but we do have it set up. So let's get into this Jimbo Fisher situation. Booyah. Let me go back to my notes. Should Jimbo Fisher return to coaching? He absolutely should. What I didn't know is that he was only 59 years old. I didn't know that. But sometimes the sport ages you pretty fast. So he's broken silence about the next chapter, and we, congratulate him. He's at ACC Network. He gets to talk about the sport. The former Florida State and Texas A&M coach told the Trials of Triumph podcast that he's healthy. He still loves the game and still think he's got plenty to give. Pointed to his resume, 72% career win percentage, national championship at Florida State, 80% playoff win rate, and run at Texas A&M while rocky, but it featured the Aggies' highest AP ranking since 1939. So let's look at the legacy. He was at Florida State, had a great record. There did include a national championship. Developed a guy like Jameis Winston. His resume there was pretty good, but it did get a little rocky towards the end, but it is what it is. Then he was at Texas A&M. I remember one of the best moments in college football, bro, in recent memory, when they lost to App State. That if you can remember where you were during that loss, bro. That was peak college football. I felt so bad for the program, but I think there's some things we need to address with Jimbo. When you do decide to come back to the game, you gonna be calling plays? You gonna get a young hot shot to call plays for you because, in my opinion, your system was a little outdated. It was antiquated. You shouldn't have been playing in 2022 looking like, 2014. You can't do that. The game advances so quickly at the collegiate level. The NFL, you'll still see principles, that were installed years ago, but at the collegiate level, principles change so much. Like, if we even look at the evolution of the air raid, like, that's changed. Like, the idea of the 92 mesh looks different than what it used to back in the day. Because, just back in the day, you just ran drag routes. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you run drag routes, and if it's zone, first hole, you know what I'm saying? You got certain points you got to get to create the mesh, how you should create the mesh, and then how the quarterback's progressions should look. It looks different. Like, you know, I mean, hell, a white cross probably looks different in Lincoln Riley's system than it does in Ben Arbuckle's system. That's how much it has changed. It's changed a lot since the days of Mike Leach was running, you know, the air raid, or Hal Mummy, who's the originator of the air raid. It's changed a lot even since how that looked. It really has changed. So my first thought, and the first thing I would like to say to Jimbo is, what's your offense going to look like, brother? We can't be doing the same thing, man. We just can't. And we got to be honest. And we have to be honest with one another. We can't be running the same offense, bro. The game has progressed. So if I'm you, go find you somebody that can call some plays at an elite level. And they don't necessarily have to be a hot shot guy. Just like, of course, you can't do Zach Kittley now because he's at FAU. Somebody like him. If, you know, somebody at the group of 5 level, like what Coach McGuire did at Texas Tech, he saw what Zach Kittley was doing at WKU. Hey, you was already here before. Yeah, come run my offense. That's what Jimbo fit. That's the first thing he need to give up. Yes, traditionally he has been good at calling plays. Agree with that 100%, right? But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it is what it is. At some point, all good things must come to an end. Now, if you refuse to give up that duty, at least adapt some new ideologies. During your time away, during this sabbatical of sorts, please find it in your heart to find a way to evolve your offense, bro. You guys got too predictable. There was a span of games I was struggling to put up points. App State was one of those games. The Miami game was one of those games. Like, bro, your offense is antiquated, outdated, archaic, whatever verbiage you want to use, what vernacular you want to go with. Your offense is indeed outdated. So if you don't want to give up that responsibility, that's okay. Just update your playbook, bro. Find a way to make it look different. It was a little bit too predictable. And I think defense coordinators who were being honest with you would 100% tell you that. No doubt about it. So, yes, great coaching stints. I think if he returns, this is going to be the most pivotal thing out of everything I say. Update your playbook is damn sure important, but the most important thing that I'm going to say today, Jimbo Fisher, if you find, you definitely a college football 1%. You got to be deep in the, what they say, you got to be deep in the archives to find this show, bro. You really do. You got to go through the crates like they used to do back in the day to find something to mix the beat to. Listen to me and listen to me good, Jimbo Fisher, if you can hear this. Do not chase the biggest bag or the biggest school. If you come back to coaching at college football, the Manny Diaz route ain't bad. Look at what he's doing at Duke, and I'm sure he's 100% happy. Bill Belichick going to UNC, a big name like that. Yes, UNC is a big program overall, all sports, right? But pick the right spot. I told you guys, Boomer said a great spot that I love it. I'm not gonna mention it here. Overreaction Monday, 8:15 p.m. over at CFB Nation. You guys can catch it there. Alrighty, I got a couple schools in mind. If Mike Gundy, if things don't work out for him down there in Stillwater and Oklahoma State decide to move on, if I am Jimbo Fisher, I want a job like that. Why? Because the resources in Stillwater are plentiful. That brand name still works well. I believe a lot of the alumni, schools who are really elite, the alumni is always coming back. Clemson is the first thing I think of. You can go to a Clemson spring game and you're going to see a bunch of former players just chilling there on the sideline. I guarantee you'll see it. And a lot of these schools, Georgia is the same way. A lot of Athens is the same way. A lot of these schools, if they have great relationships with the alumni, they'll come back. I promise you, if Jimbo Fisher gets there, a lot of those alumni will start coming back. They really would. It really would. And that it's still a great brand name, and I still believe that the resources are plentiful. That fan base would support Jimbo Fisher. Another fan base, and this is going to break my heart to say this, but I got to say it. Brent Pride, we need success. We need success in Blacksburg this year. We know that, brother. We really do. We need success this year. I think you an outstanding man, first and foremost. Stand-up dude. That before we even get to the coaching, coach speak is phenomenal. He really is passionate. Like, I don't know if you guys saw him address the fans last week. Virginia Tech is doing like a fan day on Friday. Me and Mike may head down there and go to that event. But if things don't work out for Brent Pry and Blacksburg, I think Virginia Tech is suited for a guy like Jimbo Fisher. Why? Because the school isn't afraid to spend money. I believe that the resources are plentiful. I believe he can get the alumni to definitely come back. And I think that alumni will help him recruit 100%. Go and get you, a stud defensive coordinator, a hot shot, young offensive mind, even if you decide not to make him your offensive coordinator, but somebody that can help you with, like how Tino Sinceri at Indiana was. He was the passing game coordinator last year. Mike Shanahan was the offensive coordinator, but the passing game coordinator was Tino Sinceri. So I believe those need to be the type of programs he wants to go to. Of course, you're going to be looking at the biggest programs, who are the biggest and best programs available. But I think the fact of the matter is, yes, I do think he's an outstanding coach. And yes, I don't think the game has gone past him, even though his offense is still a little antiquated. But what I think is if you take a different approach, because I think this upcoming coaches carousel, the next two upcoming coaching carousel is you're going to see a lot of young coaches getting jobs. Nino and I did an episode called No Country for Old Men, right? This is during the flagship days where we had the flagship show, CFB Nation. And I did not have Nick Saban and then coaching, after on my bingo card after the 2023 season, of course, after the loss to Michigan in the playoff. But it was like Nino almost predicted it, just with the direction of the sport. There's a lot of great coaches and coordinators right now that are under 40 years old and guys that are going to get jobs. I tell you what, if FAU really lights it up this season the way that I think they could, Zach Kelly not going to be down there long. I'm sorry to tell you for the fan base in Paradise in Boca Raton, Florida. He not going to be there long. Look at a guy like, Kane Womack, a guy like Glenn Schumann, a guy like Will Stein, a guy like Ben Arbuckle. There are so many young coaches, and there are even good guys at the G5 level. Like there's so many good coaches. These next two carousels are going to be interesting. And I believe that these programs are going to want to go with younger guys. Not saying Jimbo's name is that he'll definitely be in the mix, but I think if I'm him, I'm going to either the ACC or the Big 12. Somewhere where the resources are plentiful and they're not afraid to spend money. And let's play ball. Let's play ball. You get an automatic bid in those conferences, right? Let's play ball. Let's play ball. That's what I'm doing if I'm Jimbo Fisher. And he's only 59 years old. Like I said, I didn't remember that, but he's only 59 years old. We are 4 minutes away from the releasing of the AP poll. Let's go to Around the Nation. Alrighty, so we're 3 minutes and 28 seconds away. While we do that, of course, I'm going to have some filler and something to talk about. Let's look at Joel Klatt preseason top 25. CFB Nation will be releasing there soon. I got one or two more that I'm waiting on. Once they're there, and we'll release it, of course, with the graphic. But let's go from 25 to 1 of Joel Klatt's top 25. He got Utah at 25, Oklahoma at 24, Baylor at 23. Iowa at 22, Ole Miss at 21. This is not the AP poll for anybody who's just joining. This is simply just Joe Klatt's poll. I just wanted something because I knew I need a couple of minutes as a filler. And I'll probably have to refresh this page. Actually, I shouldn't have to. It should release on time. 20, Iowa State. At 19, Texas Tech. 18, Arizona State. 17, Indiana. 16, Texas A&M. 15, Kansas State. 14, Florida. 13, Illinois. 12, Miami. 11, South Carolina. 10, Michigan. 9, Alabama. 8, LSU. 7, Georgia. Wow. 6, Notre Dame. 5, Oregon. 4, Clemson. 3, Ohio State. 2, Texas. Penn State at 1. Like I said, we're literally 2 minutes and 16 seconds away. I don't think this is a bad poll. He had a really good balance. He had a lot of Big 12 teams in here. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did the Big 12 lead the way? I'm mad he don't got Louisville in here, but did they lead the way with the most teams? Let's see what the SEC did. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, the SEC got them, and I think somebody else was in here. 8, 9. So he did have 9 SEC teams, but wow, SEC and Big 12 certainly dominated this board. We got 1 minute and 26 seconds left before we get in this AP poll. What do you guys expect? I'm interested to see, how this differ from the coaches poll. I'm not gonna give too much of a reaction. We'll view it and we'll view it together, and it'll be interesting. I'm excited for this. I hope you all are excited for this as well. It's been a fun episode, even though we had some technical difficulties at the beginning, but it's certainly been a fun episode, man. And I always enjoy it. So shout out to everybody in here. If this is your first time in here, I am KT, but I go as governor of college football. I love college football. Over here at CFB Nation, we love college football. And hopefully you all was able to catch the segment where I announced where we're going week 0, week 1, and week 2. I'm dedicating this year to college football, and we'll see what happens. I know if you put the work in and you go up, and I love talking about it. I enjoy it. The notes for each episode are strenuous, but I enjoy that process. I really do. So we should be literally seconds away from the AP poll popping up. I'm going to refresh the page real quick. 13, 12, 11. I feel like it's about to be a happy new year, but happy college football new year for everybody, who's tuned in. Let's get into it. We're going to take a quick look at it. I ain't going to give too much thoughts. I will give a couple quick thoughts, but I ain't going to give too much. Countdown complete. All right. Let's refresh this page. Let's get her done. Uh-oh. Let's start at 25. Can you guys see that? Y'all need me to zoom in? Man, if you don't get this advertisement on my face, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so y'all can see it a little bit better. 175, 200. Yo. All right. 200. It looked like y'all can see 200. So, coming in at number 25, Boise State. I have no issue with them being at the top 25. Arguably the best G5 team. And they'll go on a quest. I think their G5 teams I like a little bit better, but they'll be right there. I'll see how good. We'll get a good test. We'll see how good they look week 2 when we're there. 24 Tennessee. Tennessee should not be in the top 25. Like, why are people so afraid to say that, bro? Like, they should not be in the top. Based on what have you seen? What criteria have you seen based on this offseason? I know they were in the playoff last year, but last year has nothing to do with this year, bro. It has nothing to do with this year. College football is illegal. What have you done for me lately? Tennessee should not be in the top 25. You're just doing it because they're a big brand and you're afraid, bro. Texas Tech at 23. I ain't mad at it. Iowa State at 22. I ain't mad at it. Ole Miss at 21. Not mad at that at all. I believe the Austin Simmons experience down there in Oxford, Mississippi is going to be real. Indiana at 20. Okay. Texas A&M at 19. Oklahoma at 18. I believe the coaches poll didn't have Oklahoma in it, did it? Which was interesting. I like this. I think we got a little bit more clarity here. Kansas State at 17. SMU at 16. I don't know if they're a top 25 team. I don't. Based on, what they did last year, they were really good last year. I believe they've put together a really good spring season. I don't know. The middle class in the ACC is catching up. I really don't. 15, Florida. 14, we have Michigan. Not too shabby. Not shabby at all. How do you guys feel about Michigan? You guys think Michigan's going to be really elite this year? At number 13, we got South Carolina. Number 12, Illinois. This looks a lot like Joel Klatt's list. 13, South Carolina, 12, Illinois. I think at the end of the season, both of these teams may be top 25 teams. Number 11, Arizona State. They got Arizona State high. Not bad at all. Number 10, Miami. Number 9, LSU. I know a lot of people are high on LSU. I know J.D. Pickell has them winning it all. Number 8, Alabama. Number 7, Oregon. Number 6, Notre Dame. Number 5, Georgia. Number 4, Clemson. Not bad. I feel like they should be a little bit higher. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 2, Penn State. Texas is number 1. Here's your top 25. AP poll just released. Hot off the press. We got Texas at number 1, Penn State at number 2, Ohio State number 3, Clemson number 4, Georgia 5, Notre Dame 6, Number 7 is Oregon. Number 8 is Alabama. Number 9, LSU. 10, Florida. 11, Arizona State. 12, Illinois. 13, South Carolina. 14, Michigan. 15, Florida. 16, SMU. 17, Kansas State. 18, Oklahoma. 19, Texas A&M. 20, Indiana. 21, Ole Miss. 22, Iowa State. 23, Texas Tech. 24, Tennessee. 25, Boise State. If this were my list, Baylor would be up there. I would replace Baylor with Tennessee in a heartbeat. I would do it extremely fast. But overall, how you guys feeling about it? Like I said, I have more thoughts. I just wanted to hold a lot of my thoughts and my opinions for the show tonight. Didn't want to show my hand too much, but, it's been a fun episode as always, man. I hope you guys thoroughly enjoyed this episode. Had a lot of fun with it. I'm glad we was able to release this live. It's always great, my idea of doing college football shows is, when it's time for you to go live and do an emergency episode, you should be able to do it without your hands being tied. So that's always how I feel about that. Let's go back to the cold open screen. Fun episode. I think we start off the week fantastic. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. If this is your first time seeing this show, my name is KT. I am the governor of college football. You can say differently, but I'm the governor. I've given myself that name 3 years ago, and I feel like really over these last 3 months, I've proved that I'm truly the governor of this thing. If you are a fan of what we're doing here, be sure to follow Governor of College Football on your favorite streaming platform. We're there. Don't forget to follow at the CFP Nation on YouTube. Don't forget to follow Governor of College Football, just at Governor of College Football, one word, on YouTube. You'll find my page. Also, more importantly, don't forget we're live tonight over at the CFP Nation, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. The only time that will ever change is during travel restrictions, but a lot of the schools that we go to during a weekday, I want the ability to go live so that doesn't get interrupted. And so I always like to say there are no more victories in a sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the best regular season. And until next time, we'll see you guys tonight on Overreaction Monday over at the CFP Nation. And you guys will see me tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You all take care. Shout out to college football, and we do this for the 1%ers. Y'all already know that. Governor of college football, we're going to recap ACC.
Hey, that's
Two
CJ
great
on
defensive
the
minds.
track.
They have to be better on that side of the Appreciate you checking out this video. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and also don't forget to check out the other content that we have here, there, and everywhere. Governor College Football for the